he picks up a first down.
And I'm going to go back to, we talked to our friends, Charles Bishop and Neely. They follow Jackson State football and having dinner with them. I mean, they said this team feels like nobody can score 3 times on them. 3 times. He didn't say if it was 3 field goals, 3 touchdowns. Prairie View has scored twice. Touchdown, field goal. That's how good this defense is. And, whoa, they are as good as advertised. 4th best in all of FCS.
It got to get to the point where whoever we're doing the broadcast that week of the game, they're going to have to sit down with y'all because y'all know us better than everybody.
Sure.
And y'all know some of the inside stuff
we do.
That I may not tell them because I don't trust them. But
sure. Trust us.
Okay. Trust y'all.
We appreciate that.
We
trust.
appreciate that, Coach. Much love, baby.
Are you ready for an upgrade? Then come see what we have to offer at the newly renovated Cadillac of Jackson. You'll be able to browse our wide variety of pre-owned vehicles with great prices. Plus, we've also got Cadillac certified pre-owned vehicles that have been tested, inspected, and ready to go. Our team is here and excited to help you with any of your vehicle needs. Visit today and find your next pre-owned vehicle at the brand new state-of-the-art facility at Cadillac of Jackson, Mississippi's exclusive family-owned Cadillac dealer.
Hey, it's Warren Sapp, number 99 in your program, number 1 in your heart. Whenever I look for Jackson State or Coach Prime information, I go to the Pregame Show.
Here at Cadillac of Jackson, we are excited to show you our brand new state-of-the-art facility. Inside our luxurious showroom, come and browse some of our newest models. When you purchase a new or certified pre-owned Cadillac, we'll have it detailed and waiting for you in our beautiful delivery bay. We've even designed a comfortable waiting room with free Wi-Fi to use as needed while your vehicle is being taken care of by one of our certified technicians. Visit today and find your next vehicle at the newly renovated Cadillac of Jackson.
Okay, so how long have you been coming to Stanford?
Since 1987. I've forever loved Stansburgers because the people, they're real people. They help the community and their family own and operate. And the food, the quality, and service has always been phenomenal. And anywhere I'm at, I always recommend people to them. It's great food, and you get enough love for your money. If you need a good place to eat and you want a good environment to support the community and support the effort of the Jackson community, I recommend Stamp's Superburger to you because, like I said,
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the Pregame with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the Pregame.
And welcome into the Wednesday night live edition of the Pregame Show. Charles Bishop, Neely, what's going on, good brother?
Let me tell you what's going on, Chuck. Every one of these episodes I play, I seriously joke as if something that should not be live was about to be said. not knowing it was live, and it actually almost happened that time when the super dope producer AD said, "All right, y'all live." I thought it was like the countdown going live. I didn't know, and man, I almost said something.
Well, welcome in, and I tell you what, it was a tremendous weekend this past weekend. When we take a look at this,
we had a time last weekend.
Ooh,
we had a time last weekend.
ESPN's College Game Day out there at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. It was beautiful. Jackson State with a huge 35-0, zero. 35-0 win for the Tigers. It was huge. It was a great day to be a Jackson State Tiger. I tell you what, Neil, so many people texted me going into this weekend after watching their beloved alma mater on ESPN with tears in their eyes. It really touched a lot of people's hearts to just watch the fan fervor with watching Jackson State this weekend.
And man, it was a beautiful sight. And, all of that happened with just the overwhelming threat of rain. Going into the game as people plan to prepare, whether you were making signs or just preparing on being out there in the morning, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all that was preached into your mind is that it was going to rain Saturday morning on College Game Day. And you get out there for College Game Day and you make it through the whole event with maybe a slight sprinkle fell at some point, but I didn't see it or feel it. But it was an amazing sight, when you watch the telecast and just to see the depth, the width of the number of people out there with signs, as Chuck Bishops like to say, going full throat. It was a great look, not only for Jackson State, not only for Southern, but for HBCU SWAC football.
There you go.
And even football at this division level outside the Bowl Championship Series to show that quote unquote smaller colleges, mid-majors can host College Game Day, but particularly HBCUs, the SWAC can host College Game Day. Man, it was outstanding.
It was outstanding, and I have to say, our Jackson State fan base from the second, the game day buses rolled up on campus. I mean, that excitement was at a fever pitch, and to see everything just come to fruition on Saturday, it was beautiful. And I had to get somewhere myself and see it on television, and just there was a lump in your throat when you saw just how the excitement and saw all of our Jackson State fans, Southern fans, HBCU fans, Jackson. Fans in the state of Mississippi all take part in this great event that is College Game Day for Jackson State football.
I haven't watched it yet, Chuck, but it is literally the only thing I've ever DVR'd. I set the recorder for it as I watched it because it's something I want to go back and relive. But it was just a great moment, man. It was, it's once again, it's the prime effect. A lot of people always talk about, well, Jackson State was this or that before Coach Prime. You just have to admit, man, we are at a level that has never been before. Has Jackson State had some glory days and some greatness? Sure. But this is a level, a crescendo, a zenith that has never been reached before. When you look at the totality of things, you think about because so much has been going on, Chuck, you forget about the Tonight Show. I mean, you had your head coach on, you and I know Johnny Carson, but it was on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, 60 Minutes, Sports Illustrated. Now College Game Day. It was a wonderful atmosphere out there at the vet, and the world got to see what Jackson State and the SWAC and HBCUs has off.
Beautiful sight, man. Beautiful sight. Well, let's get into it, man. I mean, you touched on it. This is history. Historic start for Jackson State. 8-0. It is the best start in program history. It's the sixth time the program has started 5-0 or better. When you take a look, go for it. Timeout. Go for it.
I gotta get a timeout. I gotta get a timeout. Because sometimes, Chuck, at this portion of the show, we got some people who probably need to be on whatever that drug is to help you pay attention. So we got to slow it down, Chuck. Because Jackson State has been playing football since 1911. Anytime it's before 1930, you gotta say 1900. And since 1911, we've been playing football. And you mean to tell me that this is the first time in programmatic history that your Jackson State Tigers have been 8-0?
This is the very first time in Jackson State history that the Jackson State Tigers have been 8-0. It is historic to watch this football team. And I want our fan base to understand they are in the midst of watching history with this 8-0 start. And to boot, Jackson State has outscored opponents 321 to 71. They're averaging 40.1 points per game this season, and the defense is limiting opponents to 8.9 points this season. Neely, you and I, we watched a lot of Jackson State football. I don't know if I don't know if I've seen this. I'll be very honest with you. I've watched a lot of great football teams. And, I've mentioned those teams come to mind. 87 comes to mind, 96, 99. This that I'm watching, this is different, bro.
So you want me to help you out?
Go for it.
You ain't never seen this before, Chuck.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
And what we have to realize and appreciate, and I've said this before on this show, and I'll say it again, this does not diminish the accomplishments of 77, the accomplishments of those defenses in the 80s, the accomplishments of that 96 defense, that national champion defense. This does not erase any of that. This is building on that. This is something that you long for, that you hope for, that when you were one of those great defenses of the past, that you wouldn't be the last great defense. We're here, what has happened in 2022. And I told you guys back this spring, I said, this defense is built to be better than last year's. And y'all said, oh, what about James Houston? Antoine Owens gone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, trust me, trust Neely's eyes. I've seen it. This defense is going to be better. And here we are, Chuck, 8 games behind us, 8-0. And we are holding opponents to an average of less than 9 points a game. But here's one thing I want to double down and drill down on, Chuck, if I may. It's like the real estate game. Your value is based upon the value of your neighbors. You get that appraisal. You call it comps. You go out and, what's the property worth down the street from you so I can know what your real value is. So when you say that Jackson State is allowing 8.9 points a game, having only given up 71 points in 8 games played, when you look at the next closest team in the SWAC, they have allowed 160 points and are giving up an average of 20 points per game. So now number one is 8.9 and only giving up 71 in total. The next closest is averaging 20 points given up and have allowed 160 to be scored on them, almost 100 points more. This defense is special. We know it's historic because now we're 8-0. 3 more games, and then the SWAC championship and the Celebration Bowl. Could be talking about the greatest ever.
Could be talking about the greatest ever. And to boot, a shutout of Southern. First time we've shut out Southern since, I believe, 1987.
My headset went out. Could you say that? Would you say that again? What happened?
It was a shutout of
Southern. Southern didn't score.
Southern did not score in this game. They did. Fortunately, they didn't get anything in this game. There was nothing to be had. 35-0. First time since 1987, since I believe a 14-0 shutout of the Southern Jaguars. The first on-field shutout for Jackson State since 2008. That was a 24-0 win over Alabama State. Bruh. We can't sing defensive praises enough, man. They have been lights out. They've been special. We'll go through some of the particulars here on offense and defense. But most times you start a show and you kind of start off with talking about the offense, and trust me, we will. But this is the nation's top-ranked defense, Neil.
Yeah,
they just shut us at it.
Yeah, Chuck. I mean, that's the thing that I want our fans. And I'm specifically talking about Jackson State fans, but also those folks who are fans in the SWAC, those who are fans of HBCU, those fans who are old heads and love the Division I AA. I mean, we mid-majors, whatever you want to call yourselves. You have to realize that when you take the data and you just say, let me look at the NCAA numbers. Third down conversions, as in keeping people from converting third down, first. Scoring defense, first. Sacks, first. Tackles for loss, 6th in the nation in tackles for loss. Like, this defense is a national powerhouse, not just a SWAC powerhouse. But one of the things I love about this defense, Chuck, is when you look at the defense and all of its rankings and number 1 and number 6 in that and top 10 in this, when you go look at the players, in the SWAC, in the top 10 in tackles, we don't have a guy in the top 10 in tackles?
That is correct.
When you look at the top 10 in tackles for loss, we don't have a single guy. When you look at the top 10 in sacks in the SWAC, we only have 2. When you look at the top 10 in pass defense, we don't have 1. But yet the total defense is leading in everything. So when you talk about depth and talent and different interchangeable units that can go out there and get it done, we're getting it done as a group of 11, but in a manner that not one person is leading in the conference.
That's amazing. That's amazing to even hear those stats and then to realize it is a total team effort. And the unique thing that the pregame show gets that nobody else is able to get, we got a sense of that in the pregame walkthrough. And we were able to capture that. Neely, I'm gonna let you tee this thing up, man, because when Yoda speaks, bro.
I'm gonna call him Bloater, Black Yoda. Dennis, as Chuck said, Coach Prime has granted us unimaginable access to the program so we can share with you guys how the sausage is made. And on Saturday mornings before departing to the game, oftentimes the defense has walkthroughs, and oftentimes that culminates with Dennis Thurman or one of the defensive captains talking to the team. And we were there and the cameras were rolling, and we got to hear what Dennis Thurman told his defense before heading to the vet. So this is Coach Dennis Thurman, defense coordinator, Jackson State, talking to the Tiger defense before they headed off to the stadium to face Southern, which ended up being 35-0. So here's the message that led to 35-0.
Do not get out there and talk to these guys. You know what they're about. You know what they're going to try to do. Okay? Don't get caught up in it. They run through at pregame, who cares? Does it hurt anybody? No. Is it disrespectful? Depends on how you take it. Okay? Do your talking with your pad. Let's do our talking with our pads and how we play. Do they have to score the first or second drive? No. Then why do we let them? Because we let them. It happens to us damn near every game. They're gonna go down the field and they're gonna score in the first drive, or they're gonna go down and score on the second drive. And then y'all wake up. Do we have to do that this week? Yes, sir. Well, let's not. Hey, that's about y'all and y'all. How you take the field. This team cannot beat us unless we allow it to happen. You got to be ready to play, man. And it should have started yesterday. But for you who are late comers to the party, you still have time. I'm not going to let a 5'10", 180-pound quarterback. How big their receivers are. The offensive line is not nearly as good as they've been in the past. The center and the 2 guards are average as hell. One of the tackles is okay, but he's not all that either. The best player on that offense to me is the back. Okay? You got to tackle. You have to put your shoulder pads on. You have to gang tackle. You have to want to get there. Once we stop their run game and make them one-dimensional when they have to throw the football, 5'10", 180, not gonna happen. So make sure you guys, when you get on that bus, all the bullshit distractions, all the tickets, all the other shit is behind you. And when we get off the bus, it's a single-mindedness of purpose. What is our purpose? Dominate. That's right. And can y'all stay together? Can you guys start to become a defense? What am I talking about?
Cohesive.
I don't give a fuck who makes the play. Go celebrate with your teammate. I hate when a guy makes a play and he runs off and he celebrates on his own. You know why I hate it? Because there's 10 other guys that helped him. But he is, hey, it's about me. No, it's not. It's about them other 10 guys that are on the field with you. Go celebrate with them. Become a great defense. You do that cohesively. You do that together. That's what it's about. Because 10 other guys have to do their job in order for you to make that great play. You're not just going to make it by yourself. Let's become a great defense. Let's become a great defense because we're playing for each other. So let's start today. All right, break it down the floor.
Everybody eats good. Hey, one thing too. Make sure from here and from when we get to the game, y'all put on that LSU game and see how physical they was. And see how they shut down. I watched that shit last night, bro. Just to see how physical it was. Fuck all the schemes they ran, but just see how physical they was in the first quarter. So if you got a chance, bro, go watch this shit. Go get a glimpse of it. Yeah. Hey, family on me, family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Family. Can't wait to get physical.
Come on, let's be together, man.
Physical today, dog.
Let's go.
Tell you what, Neely. Dennis Thurman makes you want to go throw on a helmet, man, and run out there and get 5 plays in.
Yeah. That might be what he make you want to do. He make me look down at the ground when they come around. He's like, I don't want to make eye contact with him. Like, hey, man, here come DT. Who DT like Debo? Like, hey, man, get your stuff together. Because he is one of the most pleasant people to be around. But when it is about the business, it is about the business. He does not like or tolerate selfish play. You know, it is not about one particular person. It is about that whole unit. And he will tell you, this defense is not built to stop the run. It's not built to get interceptions. This defense is built to prevent points. They are not in until they're in. He doesn't care if they're trying to drive the ball from their 20 or if they start on our 20. His goal is no points. Don't try to hold them to a field goal. Try to hold them to 0. And what happens from that, you end up with a defense that's holding people to less than 9 points a game.
Yeah, that's amazing. You take a look at this past game, nation's top-ranked defense. They limited Southern only 221 yards, 136 on the ground, 85 through the air. They forced a couple of takeaways. They recorded 4 sacks, a blocked field goal. Get this, Southern on third down, only 3 of 18 for the day. They recorded 8 3-and-outs, 6 punts, a blocked field goal. Turnover on downs, a partridge and a pear tree. Dennis Thurman's defense was lights out, Neil.
Partridge in the pear tree. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Chuck, 3 of 18 on third down. Now, here's another I told you so moment, and Chuck told you so too. When Chuck and I talked on last Wednesday and last Saturday, he always asked Neely keys to the game. And I said, we got to get off the field on third down. We cannot let Southern extend drive. Chuck, although that came out of my mouth, I never would have said 3 for 18. That is almost an unrealistic football statistic that somebody's on 18 times trying to convert third down to first, and they only get 3 on. But get this, Chuck, you want to know what's worse?
Go for it.
You don't want Chuck. Sit back. Get ready. 2 of them were on penalties.
You're right. Forgot about that.
They actually got 1 first down on third down that they got on their own. The other 2 were on
great point. The other 2 are on penalties. That was a great point. You saw him there at the end of the clip, Aubrey Miller. He went for 9 tackles, 5 of them solo, 2 forced fumbles, and a pass breakup. Jeremiah Brown, 6 tackles, a sack, and another tackle for a loss. And he blocked that field goal, which began on Jackson State's 27-yard line. So, again, you can't say enough about this defense. They played some phenomenal ball. And I tell you what, for a rivalry game, for them to take it up that much more, it was just amazing to watch, man. They just flew around. And we've watched them do this from game 1 through game 8. It is a special unit to watch. I can't say it enough. And it's amazing when we start throwing out these statistics and throwing out these analytics. And Dennis Thurman will tell you, he doesn't think they played their best ball yet.
No, he doesn't. And he doesn't care about statistics or individual stats or the defense stats. They scored, he's mad. You know, that's just the way it is because his goal is to prevent points. Chuck, let me circle back on something that I just really appreciate about this team. You know, you get these every other game, you get this new guy that has a breakout game. Not necessarily new to folks who've been watching, but stat sheets he's new. And so you look at a Jeremiah Brown And he's kind of been that understudy of Aubrey Miller. Even back this spring, they were doing some individual workouts together. And so when you see him block that field goal and get those tackles for losses and that work just coming in, Jeremiah's one of those guys where the coaches actually have to take him out to preserve him because his motor is running so high all the time. Like he can play 4 downs and play it at a high level. So you reserve him for certain situations, but he's a young up and coming dude, man, that's going to make some noise in this conference for years to come. And here with Southern, they get down there off some penalties, and it looks like we're going to give up some points. But as DT says, they ain't into the end, and he blocks that field goal. And it really, because you remember, Chuck, at that point, they'd gone for some 4th downs. We'd gone for some 4th downs. Like it was, it looked like it was going to be a street fight. But by the time we went into halftime, it was like, okay, we got this. We're in control.
Yeah. You could tell that was one of those early momentum plays that really took the air out of the balloon for Southern with regards to getting anything going in that game. But we flip it over now to the offensive side of the ball. Heisman Trophy and Walter Payton Award candidate number 2, grown Shedeur Sanders. He goes for 246 yards, combined for 246 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's 18 of 33 through the air, 194 yards, a touchdown. But get this, 8 carries, 52 yards, had 2 rushing TDs. I tell you what, two turn the Jets on a couple times, man.
Yeah, turn the Jets on. I will say this, Chuck. I'm not a fan of my quarterback running downfield just because I don't like my quarterback getting tackled, and that's what happens when he runs. But when you turn the Jets on and get to the end zone barely touched, it's all right. And I think on that one, that was a 42-yarder he ran for a touchdown. So personally responsible for 3 touchdowns, 1 in the air, 2 on the ground. And he is still number 1 in conference, and number 2 ain't close. When you look at the passing percentage of completions, he's in the mid-upper 70s. The next closest person is in the low 60s. But when you look at even the passing completion to attempts, just the numbers, his attempts are only like 20 more than the next person. But the percentage of the completion goes way up. So, you're running to these folks that, such and so is number 2 or number 3 in the SWAC. Is kind of like McDonald's hamburgers and my mama's hamburgers. Like, yeah, she number 2 to them, but they selling $1 billion of them. She gave me and Kirby one. She made 2. So it really ain't it really ain't close. Like you're second, the second QB in the SWAC, the third QB in the SWAC, but you really ain't close. It's just somebody got to be 2.
Man, where would we be? Where would we be without these Neely analogies, man? I mean,
hey, man,
I live for them.
I might not go to church every Sunday, and by every Sunday I mean none. But one thing Jesus did, he talked to them in parables. So I just try to teach him parables like my brother Christ did, man.
Well, let's take a look at it. Mr. Consistency himself.
Hey, Chuck, let me tell you, can I tell you what my uncle said about church now? My uncle told me this about church. My grandmother said, hey, boy, go in there and get your uncle up. Tell him it's time for church. I went in there and said, Grandma said it's time to go to church. He said, son, let me tell you something. Sit down. I sat on the edge of bed. He said, as long as Sunday morning come after Saturday night, I ain't going.
And all the heathens, they raised their hand.
All right, back to the show, Chuck. Grown number 1.
Yeah.
Black, still showing Heisman-like numbers. Probably now in that 4th or 5th range, NCAA wide as far as what he's doing. Up there in percentage, still in the top 3. Just outstanding performance from our quarterback, man. Sophomore quarterback.
Sophomore quarterback, man. He gets it done week in, week out. And Mr. Consistency himself, running back Savion Wilkerson, 21 carries, 96 yards, and a touch. Hey, man, I call him the human metronome. You never see him here. You never see him there. He's right in the middle, man.
At least you didn't use androgynous again. So, yeah. Savion is coming in, man, number 4 in conference in rushing. But he is just Mr. Go-To when you got to have it. I call him 3-6 Mafia. And what a game he had, making those big runs, taking the wheel out of those linebackers to tackle him. And that was well before the rain started. Just can't say enough about him and coming to this team. People forget he was leading the MEAC in rushing last year, comes over to Jackson State and gets that opportunity and has picked up right where he's left off. And I know we're going to get to Texas Southern, but this is a team that you, just like with Southern, you can get some you can get some gains on the ground. And Savion Wilkerson, man, he like that. He built like that.
No doubt about it. Dallas Daniels, he led the receivers, 5 catches for 67 yards. Jackson State goes into half up 22-0. And, of course, we had an opportunity to talk with Coach Prime at the half. Let's take a look at it.
Time 22-0. Looked like we had a street fight going, but that second quarter opened up.
You know, we started off slow, but we like that little engine that good. I think I can. And when we do it, we do what we do really well. I'm so darn proud of our defense. Offense is Brazilian. Quarterback, I thought he couldn't run. He can only pass. Looks pretty darn good. Stunned like his daddy a little bit.
You got on Dallas Daniels and said, man, you're a potential pro. You got to catch those. He's turned it up.
Dallas is a pro, man. I understand sometimes they miss a ball or two, but he's better than that, and he turns it up, man. One thing that we can do, we can count on his energy and the way he attacks the game.
We always bet on 21 black, but you went for 2 and got 22 points.
Yeah. That's like a message. I'm trying to send a message that we are physical. Everybody just always talk about another team. They never talk about our physicality, and that bothers me a bit. God bless you.
Amen.
Joining us today from American Airlines corporate leadership team is Terrence Bradlaugh, Director of Talent and Development, Craig Irving, Corporate Sales Manager and General Manager for American Airlines at the Jackson Airport, Tiffany Oliver Parker. To celebrate the partnership between American Airlines and Jackson State University, American Airlines is excited to offer 2 winners this exclusive getaway to New York City. 2 lucky winners will receive 2 economy round-trip tickets to New York, 2-night, 3-day stay at a night.
Bring it up. Good first half. That's all that means. So y'all stop the bull jump. We're getting complacent around here. How are you excited about that? We supposed to be dominating. Y'all like you never dominated before. This is the area and the address that I live in. Dominate. Y'all come join me. Supposed to do this. I can let this do that. Fellas, we halfway home, all right? We're halfway home. Don't be distracted by where we are. We're halfway home on the journey. Do not be distracted by where we are. This is the time you prove that you're dominant. If you're a boxer, you go by the knockout. So let's go for the knockout. We fighters. And we killers. We ain't got time for all that talking. Don't get caught up in it. We're not going to go out there and get a penalty to start this thing off. We're going to go out there and knock their head off and get back and congratulate the guy who did it. And we're going to, first word, smart. Second word, discipline. Third word, seconds. There you go. Now, this is what we're going to do. When the game is over, you running your butt straight to the locker room. No fight song. What? Huh? No, ain't no hammer. No. Straight to the locker room because it's going to be something. All right? What's the third word? Seconds. You don't think they're going to antagonize? All right, so we running straight to the locker room. All right? And you guys sit in here. Do not leave here until I talk to you after the game. First word? Smart. Second word? Discipline. Third word? Seconds. Remember that. And let's go out there and finish what we started. Yes, all right? Yes, sir. Y'all men, right? Yes, sir. When y'all with your woman, do you finish or do you get up? That's what I thought. Boy. Great parting words from Coach Prime as we come back out of halftime, man. Oh, man.
Chuck, you got to finish. You got to finish.
He harped on something that I think was very key within that halftime speech, discipline. He was huge in terms of making sure that we didn't have anything happen post game or whatever the case might be. A little bit of chatter, a little bit of talking prior to the game, but wanted to make sure that our Tigers basically kept the straight and narrow in this game and did not respond to anything that might have been coming their way.
Sure. Coach Prime is pragmatic. He's disciplined. He knows the lay of the land. And, you had a situation where some Southern players who posted a video earlier in the week. You also remember that last year when we played them down in Baton Rouge, ended up with a couple of suspensions from some of our key players because of post-game. stuff that happened. And then you remember early in the year, pregame, Prairie View and Southern, had a pregame fight and led to suspension. So he was saying in the locker room halftime, look, let's go out here and finish this deal, but we're coming off the field. Like we are on a mission for something, not just 8-0, but to win the regular season, to win the SWAC championship, to win the Celebration Bowl, and we don't have time for foolishness. So to prevent the foolishness, we all come into the locker room after the game. We'll do the interviews and that kind of thing from there. And he's one of those guys, much like Dennis Thurman, the rest of the staff. It's in the heat of the battle, not really satisfied. Yes, we were up at halftime, but because there were some penalties that gave them extended drives, because at that point we had left points out there. And then at that point, Chuck, you have to also remember, we knew at some point the weather was going to turn. And so what you had to do in that game from a game management standpoint is, look, you don't want this to be 7-7 at halftime and the thunderstorms roll in and somebody wins on a muddy field goal. So you got to put the foot on the accelerator and load up on these points, because they could be hard to come by if the weather turned. Now, we did make it through the third quarter unscathed, but 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We stopped for about 90 minutes of play, and he was astute enough to know that kind of thing could come. So it's like, look, let's come out of here, no penalties. Let's go ahead and finish this.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish it. Finish being the theme. Well, Neely, as much as I want to revel in this 35-0 shutout of Southern and ESPN Game Day, we always review, and then we have to preview. Upcoming this week are the Texas Southern Tigers, as our Jackson State Tigers travel to Houston, Texas for this game. This Texas Southern team, they're not the Texas Southern teams that we've seen of past.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm just laughing because Lego Batman is on your TV behind you. Like, are you babysitting? What are you watching back there, man? It's like
it was on the pregame show, but I ain't no telling what's on.
No, it went to your most watched list, and it went to Lego Batman. We're trying to have a serious show, talk about this upcoming game, Texas Southern, and all I see is Lego Batman.
Oh, the beauty of it.
I got a brother drinking behind me, smoking a cigar, so I can't say much, but all right, now that I'm not distracted by Lego Batman, because it was actually getting pretty good. He was finna go fight the Riddler or something. I'm sorry, Chuck. Head to Texas Southern.
Head to Texas Southern. They have won 3 consecutive games after starting off 1-4. They have victories over Southern and Alcorn in league play. When you take a look at them offensively, they're averaging 25 points per game, 333 yards per game in total offense. They're pretty balanced in terms of rushing and passing, 167 rushing, 165 passing. They are led by quarterback Andrew Biden.
Yeah, he's their guy, man. We can be politically correct, and we'll do that on Saturday morning and spot out some more of their key players to watch and go through their personnel groupings. We always save that for game day. Don't want them making any adjustments. But it's just no secret. It's the worst kept secret in the world in the SWAC that Body is their guy. Their entire offense moves and grooves with him, and he's the guy that you got to watch because he can push it downfield and he can move out of the pocket with his legs. We've faced similar guys like him this season, but we haven't faced anybody quite like him this season. Yeah. And Chuck, the same thing I said about the Southern game coming into that. What I love to do is look at people's averages and see who's going to be kept within their average. So, Texas Southern has been putting up 25 points a game. We can stop right there. You're not putting up 25 points on this Jackson State defense. I always like to, give credit where credit is due and talk about these athletes from other schools. They got a weight room. They got scholarships. They're just as hungry as our players. But then it comes down to depth and talent. And it's just hard to score more than 2 times on this Tiger defense, the way it's built and conditioned and with this depth and multiple units. So I just don't see them hitting their point average against us. And then it just becomes a matter of what does our offense do? And is this finally the time, 9 games in, where we get a special team score? When we look at our kickoff return and punt returns this season, man, we've gotten some great runs across the 50, and then it's a shoestrings tackle or a breakdown in that wedge, what have you. But maybe this is the week, that we get a house call, which we haven't gotten this season. But I'm not saving it for Saturday, Chuck. I'll tell you right now, they ain't scoring 25 points on this defense.
That's a great point. One note with the Texas Southern team, they do lead the SWAC in interceptions. They are some serious ball hawks. They lead the SWAC with 10 interceptions, and nearly they've house called 3 of those 10 interceptions.
You're exactly right. And we are a team that likes to pass, and Coach Prime knows that at times we appear to be one-dimensional, but we're really not. When you get to the end of the game and you look at the numbers, it's more balanced than it appears. But this is, as I said earlier, another defense, that they're going to drop 8 back there and kind of, and play that cloud defense, and they want to get one of those interceptions and make a house call with it. But that's inviting us to run. And so I'm looking forward to what that running back room by committee, Savion Wilkerson, Santee Tito, as we call him, and even J.D. Martin, what are they going to do against this defense that's inviting you to run the ball? Because as you said, Chuck, they got some ball hawks back there, and they like to pick it off, and we like to throw. So what happens when you got a great quarterback against a secondary that likes to get them? We're going to find out Saturday.
We're going to find out Saturday. Of course, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of this game on our Saturday show. But I tell you what, when we take a look at this Jackson State versus Texas Southern game, it's from a fan's perspective, Neil. Some fans have taken a look at this. Is this that proverbial trap game, especially when you're coming off of a homecoming win over Campbell, an emotional victory over Southern. And then you have this Texas Southern team that's a bit of an upstart. But from a coaching perspective, it's, all cylinders pointed in one direction. You talk about this team being focused week to week to week to week, and I expect no different this Saturday.
Hey, man, Chuck, we know Coach Prime is a biblical guy. That guy, he studies the word, man. He lives the word. And one thing I heard him say to some coaches in the hallway in passing is, "Hey, we got 5 Davids left. Like, don't sleep on David. David is coming to try to beat Goliath, and we got these 3 regular season games, SWAC championship game, and the Celebration Bowl. And so there are underdogs out there. We are favored the rest of the way, but that don't mean that they ain't got a sling and an arrow and trying to bring their best shot. So." Whether you call it a trap game or not, we can't fall asleep. You remember we fell asleep Celebration Bowl. We got all the way there. Swept the conference, won the SWAC championship, and petered out the Celebration Bowl, didn't finish. And Coach Prime, you heard his creative analogy in the locker room. It's all about finishing this time and finishing in a dominant fashion. So you cannot take Texas Southern lightly. And another point to consider in this, Chuck, whereas mathematically, for all practical purposes, we have the SWAC East locked up. It is not mathematically guaranteed yet because we need to win and maybe FAMU lose against Southern and then it's done, or it takes a week after that. But the West is still kind of wide open between Prairie View, Southern, and even Alcorn. And so for Texas Southern to have a chance to get into that conversation,
that's true.
Everybody on the West has to win out. So for these next 3 weeks in the SWAC on that West side, you're going to get people's best damn effort. Because if they want to be in that SWAC championship, they got to win. Yeah,
you're talking about you're going to get everybody's best punch, and Jackson State knows that going into each game going forward. So it's going to be a tremendous contest Saturday. Of course, the pregame show will be with you live, and we'll be, of course, embedded with the team as always, giving you great content. But, Neely, I always look at this game. This is going to be a tremendous atmosphere, another great atmosphere. Texas Southern is nearing a sellout for this game here at PNC Stadium. Huge alumni base here in Houston with regards to Jackson State. There will be a meet and greet Friday. The Alumni Association normally does these things on the road games, but there's going to be a huge meet and greet at the Houston Post Oak Hotel here this Friday. So all those coming in town for the game, and DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. Come on down to Houston, of course. Huge alumni base up there in Dallas. Come on down this week.
I know you meant that because you clapped on that one. Wendy must gonna be out of town. You clapped on that one. You said, "Hey, oh, no, you got happy." Calm down, Chuck. We gonna be working, all right. Friday night is when we do show notes and interviews for Saturday. So I know you got to hype up the meet and greet. I get it, but hey, Chuck, calm down.
Boy, I can count on you always.
Hey, man, Chuck, I don't know what it is, Chuck. I don't know what it is. I hear the sound of a bus coming, and something just instinctively says, "Hey, push Chuck in front of it." I just like just give you a little nudge. Hey, the bus got the chance to stop, Chuck. I ain't told them people to hit you. Hey, Wendy. He up to something. Watch him.
You kill me, brother. You kill me. But yeah, we're talking about a huge alumni fan base is coming in for this game. Like I said, this game is nearing the sellout. Something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Should Houston Astros, should they win tonight or tomorrow, but there could be a game here in Houston this weekend. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on with regards to parking at this game.
Wow. So you know, when the Yankees are done, I'm done. So as much as I love baseball, but you're there in Houston. So if the Astros, there's potential Astros World Series game right before the SWAT game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That game will be Saturday night. So it's something that we're gonna keep an eye on with regard, and we'll touch on it more Saturday. But parking could be one of those things that you might want to make some alternative plans if you come into the game, because the Minute Maid Stadium is right close to PNC Stadium. So all of us will be in the mix in that Saturday mix here in Houston. So it's something to keep an eye on. So keep an eye out on what the Astros are doing in the World Series. So we will see. Of course, we'll come back to you Saturday morning, the pregame show. Nearly. As always, party.
Don't do it, Chuck. Don't do it, Chuck. Chuck, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You know what?
What's that?
Before I get out here, let me give a shout out to DJ Unpredictable, man. He had that stadium rocking, the boom was rocking. But I mean, just to see our Jackson State fan base in full throat with the DJ, it was beautiful to watch, man. It was a scene like none other to see the vet crunk like it was.
It was, man. And another shout out to that crowd, a sea of pink out there. You know, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Something that really impacts, you know, women of HBCUs, and to see all that pink in the stands, you know, for that game looked great on TV, looked great down there from the field. And DJ Unpredictable had it going. The boom had it going. Hey, man, it was a great atmosphere. And like you said, full throat. And like Coach Prime said in the locker room, hey, man, it's all about finishing, dog. You got to finish. When you go down there, Chuck, you got to finish. I don't know about you, Chuck, but if I go down there, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish that.
How am I supposed to follow that?
I'm gonna tell you how you follow. Let me tell you how you follow. You say, "Hey, shout out to our sponsors, Terrence Harris of the Cochran Law Firm, the Project Architect, Churchill Smoke Shop. Cannot forget BioSteel, who's been with us forever to day one. You talk about forever to day one. Chambers and Gaylord Law Firm. So no matter what Neely says, we close the show with just his ignorance and unbridled juvenile jokes from 13-year-old mind. That's how you close it out, Chuck. But since you didn't close it out that way, now I get to go back to full throat. And like Coach Prime said, finish. If you're going to go down there, you got to finish.
Looking forward to Saturday night, Jackson State, Texas Southern. The pregame show will be right there with you.
Night game, Chuck. Everybody get what they wanted. They've been wanting a night game. We got a night game. You just got to come. You got to come to Houston for it, but you can finally get a night game. 6 p.m. kickoff.
6 p.m. kickoff. It's Bishop. It's Neely. It's the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network. We will see you on Saturday.
AD must be in his drawers somewhere.
He is.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.